just after Jack left, and I told Mick, this guy is Irish. He wants to play for you. Believe it or not, I can't believe it, Mick, but he wants to play for you. I think that was the extent of the conversation. And I was called up to the under-21s for Mick McCarthy's first game against Russia. So, yeah, it worked out very well for me in the end, and I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah. So at this stage, football was your life, was going to be your life, and being Irish footballer was clearly the map.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was.
And when you came in, you were at the late 9. When you came in, some of the older boys were moving on, and the new generation of players were coming through. So by the time you were full-time, the 2002 World Cup, you were a regular, weren't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I am. I mean, I had that spell of the 66 consecutive starts between 99. It took me 2 years, and I accept.
Don't play it that. I mean, if you can beat Billy Wright's record, ain't no small feat there, Kev.
Well, I do believe it. I keep saying this. I've told the guys already. I do believe it's a world record because it's qualified. It's qualifying games. Yeah. So Billy Wright's was friendlies and everything because the game was different then, obviously. Yeah. But I do believe it is a world record. But no one's actually confirmed that to me. So I can't even. I don't even know where to go on that one. But I was going to say though, I got into the under-21s, I think 95, 96 when I was at Preston. That we were actually League 2, the old Division 3 at the time, bottom league, the bottom professional league in England. We then got promoted. I continued to play in the 21s, and I was called up for the senior team in 1997, just before I moved to West Brom. I was still a Preston North End player, and Mick called me. I was in the middle of a move actually, but I was still a Preston North End player. Mick called me at home. I didn't have a mobile phone then. Yeah. The home phone went, and it was Mick McCarthy on the phone. He says, "Kevin, it's Mick McCarthy. Look, we've been impressed watching you for Preston and watching you playing under 21s. We're calling you up for the game." I think it was Liechtenstein, 97, the summer of 97, and I just had surgery. Mick didn't know. I just had surgery on a groin injury, so I wasn't able to go over and play. So I would have been a League One player now in the Irish setup, but it didn't work out. And I was called in then fully, and I made my debut a couple of months later in September 97 when I was a West Bromwich Albion player. Yeah. But what I was going to say though, you were talking about the players that were in the squad. I remember getting in the squad, and Ray Houghton was in the squad. Tony Cascarino, you mentioned the guys before, Andy Townsend, John Aldridge. Yeah. You know, I was so in awe of these players. Roy Keane was in at that time. Dennis Irwin. Who else would we have had there as well? Steve Staunton was there. Was another one. Yeah. The people that were around that team, legends, pure icons for Irish football. But for my generation, they were gods. And then we had Mick McCarthy, who was the captain, who was the manager of the team, you know, thrown in Packy Bonner, who was the goalkeeper coach. I was taken aback when I first got in. I thinking back, I was ready to play, but maybe mentally I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared to be around these people, and I didn't feel like I belonged, really feel like I didn't belong around these people. And then I got to know them all over the years, which was great from my point of view. And Andy came to West Brom, you know, a while after that when he left Aston Villa. Yeah. So Andy was a teammate of mine at club level. Obviously, I became a teammate of Niall Quinn at Sunderland not long after that as well. It was just, it was great times for me, but it did take me 2 or 3 years. And I'm talking in training. I was nervous in training every day, being around these
That's only natural. I mean, you moved into an icon in your head, and you're trying hard to do your best, and that's only life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true, Ross. It absolutely is true. If I'd have been around them more over a longer period of time, there would have been no issues then. Yeah. But Mick was having to develop a new squad.
That's right.
So 99, 2000, after we missed out after the Turkey playoff in 99 and we missed Euro 2000, we went away to America. And that was probably the makings of our team. Obviously, Robbie Keane had just come into the squad. Damien Duff was then brought into the squad. Richard Dunn, Gary Breen was developing. Shane Given, and myself, Ian Hart,
Gary Kelly,
Gary Kelly. All these players then were developing. I think Gary Kelly was around under Jack, though, wasn't he?
He was kind of in and out, Jim. Yeah.
All these players then, who were kind of my generation of players. And Kenny Cunningham was another one as well. We were all obviously off the back. They were all playing 21s under Jack, but Mick then brought them into the fold and brought them into the senior side. There were so many of us that all came through together. David Conley, another. I'm trying to think of names as I'm going here, but all these players, we were able to grow together. We were able to make mistakes together. But the one thing that I even look back on now, we were such a good team. Like we had so much individual talent off the back. Plus, we had Stan Niall Quinn, Alan Kelly, these players that were around under Jack that were able to help us grow and really bring us through a little bit, aside of Mick McCarthy's guidance. But all these players that were part of, Euro 88, Italian 90, 94, the World Cup in 94, all these players were still a part of that. And then, of course, we had Roy Keane, who was the game changer for us. So we had so much talent, but we also had a lot about us. There was a lot about that team.
What happened, from the outside as spectators looking on that era, a level of self-belief had got into that group of players and was passed on to you guys that things could happen. Which didn't, when the boys arrived with Jack first, they couldn't happen. And Jack made them, whether it was the up and under ball, made it happen. And I was there in Giant Stadium, and that day was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We'd kind of crossed the Rubicon. Things could be done.
Yeah, I remember watching that at home as well. Yeah, I think, you can't underestimate the influence that Jack had on us as well, on our generation, because we watched that team. Look, I know there's so much said around the football that was being played, but as kids, as 10 and 11...
Kevin, it worked. You could bore you to death. Maybe it was very practical, pragmatic, efficient, and it rendered results, and people accepted that.
And they also had the talent as well.
Yeah, and the talent was there.
That style with the talent, absolutely. As kids, as I said, we were 10 and 11, Rossa, we didn't really understand tactics. We were just seeing a winning Ireland team. We were seeing an Ireland team front and centre.
You weren't worried about the diamond of the 4-4-2 or playing in the box or in the hole?
Absolutely not. We were seeing a winning team. We were seeing a team that was competing with the very best, the best nations. Anyone that came to Dublin, we felt we were going to beat them no matter who it was. Yeah. And wherever we went, we felt like we could get a result. And obviously that came off the back then of qualifying for World Cups and having real success. It had a huge influence on my generation of players. So when Breeny and Shea Given, myself, Harty, Robbie Keane, Damien Duff, all these players, when we went into the squad then, as you said, we had that self-belief from the players in the generation before us that were helping us. So it was an amazing transition for us, an amazing transition, and one that you look back on and you do feel blessed that we had that,
Yeah. Is resilience something you have or you believe exists, or is resilience just dealing with the stuff that comes up in front of you? And you've got that depth of strength to keep going?
It's a great question, isn't it? How do you define it? That's the thing. I believe, yes, absolutely. My Irishness defines me in so many ways, but it gives me the resilience. Absolutely does. I think it's helped me, because let's be honest, 99.99999% of footballers are never ever going to be winning Premier Leagues, winning Champions League, winning World Cups. We are going to have to survive for long spells. We have to survive, and you're going to lose more than you win. And when you lose more than you win, you constantly have this thing about you that you've just got to get through it. And you've just got to... My mentality always was, I'll just get on with it. Just get on with it constantly. Maybe that's my motto of life, I suppose, as well. Just get on with it. So for all the knocks that I took, everything that I took along the way, I just got on with it. And I just was able to brush it aside, no matter whether I was taking stick from supporters, whether I was taking stick from teammates, opposition players, even managers and coaches. You've got to show a sense of character or a lot of character to get on with it.
But you think it's an Irish thing that you've learned to live with and use and lean on?
Yes, I think that. Again, look, many people from many different nations and nationalities will feel as though that they've got that. Whether it's my Irishness, whether it's my stubbornness within being Irishness or what, I don't know. But I do feel as though the amount of setbacks that I've had.
So you've had moments where you really have felt that that's come to help you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely has. Yeah, many times. When you're a kid, like when you turn pro in professional sport, whatever athlete you are, whatever sport you're doing, when you turn pro or you're starting to play competitively, as I said before, you are absolutely, undoubtedly gonna have bad days. You're gonna lose, and a majority of the time you're either just getting on with it or you're gonna suffer. And it's how you deal with that suffering that gets you through day-to-day life. And that's the way that it is, because you take it home with you after a bad defeat, you take it home with you. And you do become very much in a bubble, which is something I've been quite happy since leaving the game, Ross, that I'm not in that bubble anymore. I'm not necessarily, have those feelings. You miss them. I miss playing, absolutely doing. I miss that team environment.
But you don't want these guys who misses that. You've moved on.
I have moved on, absolutely moved on. Yeah.